Wanted to see why Korea and China dominates gaming, but not Japan. That's kind of an interesting one. Let's watch.
Why are Asians so good at gaming?
League of Legends, World of
When I
Warcraft,
worked in
Arena
games
of
research
Valor.
at a major publisher,
For
we
Area of
noticed
Valor.
something the public usually gets wrong. Most people see Korean and Chinese teams dominating esports and think it's about genetics or some mystical Asian gaming gene. But as a PhD sociologist,
I think it's just that they take it seriously, to be honest. Right? Because over here, when you think about like people over here don't even know about esports, right? Like adults or boomers or people like that. No one ever takes esports seriously. Right? But you have people over. That's why people say things like, I think it's called Ionia, the Chinese super server, or the Korean server. That's why these servers are so they're popular with so many like good players, just because they take it seriously. They're all trying to get better and stuff like that. But in the West, it just seems like it's just like a relaxing thing to do, which is fine, right? It's gaming, right? You want to play a game, you want to relax, you want to do it for content or something like that. It's fine. That's cool. But it's not going to produce the best players.
I learned to look at something different.
Yeah.
We looked at the soil. The numbers make this clear. Over 90% of StarCraft World Champions are Korean. Chinese teams have claimed multiple League Worlds titles, and in the last 13 years of League of Legends,
Wait, what?
teams have claimed multiple percent of StarCraft World Champions are Korean.
Uh-huh.
Chinese teams have claimed multiple League Worlds titles, and in the last 13 years of
These are Korean teams. This is, or at least 3 of these are, right? SKT. Is that Samsung? Kingen, DRX. Yeah, wait. A lot of these are Korean. What? You said Chinese. These are Korean teams.
League of Legends, Asian teams have won every single world championship. The secret behind their success?
Wait.
Asian teams have won every single world championship.
Except for one, Fnatic. Fnatic won the first world championship. And then there's a Taipei Assassins who isn't Korean or Chinese.
The secret behind their success? Infrastructure. I'm John, and today we're digging into months of research on why Korea and China built the most fertile soil on Earth for.
Those are some weird things to get wrong. Is that weird? I don't know why that's weird. The only I watch is Gran Turismo esports, not that. I started and I could care less about MLG games. I respect it, but I just can't call it a sport. Well, then we fall behind. You never call it a sport. People never acknowledge it as an actual sport, as something people can actually get good at. We fall behind. That's what happens. You know what I'm saying? Because like esports athletes in these other countries get treated like celebrities. Over here, they get treated like a joke. Things happen. Causality, you know? It happens.
Competitive gaming. Here's the big idea. Individual talent is like a seed, and the country's gaming scene is the soil. Good soil will grow tons of talent, but even the best seeds will die in bad soil. Korea and China built this success with big money and a culture that loves gaming. We'll look at how cities like Seoul and Shanghai built the perfect systems for players to grow, but also look at other regions in the world where they're building world-class talent on nothing but a smartphone and a data connection. But stick around to the end, because I'll also explain why the OG of global gaming culture, Japan, actually let their soil go dry.
You lose. Well, except for in fighting games. There's actually, I think some European players, and I think there's actually some Chinese players on the rise for fighting games, because here there's usually like, it's usually like there'll be Japanese players who do well, but there's some Middle Eastern players who are actually really, really good. Like Angry Bird was an Evo champion for Street Fighter. There's also some Hispanic cultures that have like really good players. I think, God, what's his name? Mena RD is Dominican, I think is what he is. and he's like the Street Fighter champion for both Japan Evo and Evo Japan and regular Evo, right? But there is a few Americans in there that are really good, like Punk. Punk was an American champion for Evo, right? Shout out to Punk.
Quick rewind to 2013. It's the World Championship of League of Legends, and the air crackles with tension in Staples Center in the heart
this
of
is where
LA,
SKT wins,
with
yeah.
a sold-out crowd, with millions more watching online. On stage, 10 players from China and Korea.
Oh wait, SK. This isn't the one where. Is this the one where Samsung White wins or Samsung Blue wins? No, White. Samsung White. No, I don't think
locked
so.
in
Wow,
behind
look
their
at that,
monitors.
dude.
But
Some of
all
the
eyes are
stars
two
on here, like
17-year-old
Uzi, dude.
rookies,
Uzi's such a
silent Korean team,
huge name in
and Chinese
China.
prodigy Uzi,
Yeah.
both carrying the hopes of a nation. Just a year ago, neither of them were global names. One grinding away ranked games in Seoul's PC bangs,
Mhm.
and the other dominating Chinese competition. But in
Royal
2013, they collided on the world's biggest stage. At 2-0 with Korea up, the crowd's chant swells into a roar as the Korean team leads a fearless charge down the top lane. Every movement precise
Piglet,
and
Faker,
lethal.
Bengi.
Towers fall, the enemy
There's
nexus
so many
shatters,
players
and the
here.
arena erupts as Korea completes their sweep.
Yeah.
At the Staples Center.
At that moment, it wasn't just Korea beating China.
And there it is. And after this, I think after this, SKT has never lost to a Chinese team on an international at the world stage. They are legitimately like 13-0 of all the games that they have played since I think since 2013. They have never lost a best of 5 to a Chinese team.
It was the league's version of Michael Jordan crushing Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
One player on his way to immortality, the other destined to become the greatest to never lift the crown. The world had just witnessed the
right.
coronation
Uzi has
of a
never. I
legend.
think no. I
That
don't think
Korean
Uzi ever
teenager
won.
was Faker, the GOAT of gaming.
Faker.
And recently, he received the highest honor possible
Oh,
for
boy.
a South Korean athlete.
One second. I tried to tab out and I messed it up. Sorry about that, chat.
Here's how we understand his career and
Uh-huh.
esports. But to understand why that honor exists, we first have to look at the wreckage where it all started. Before we go any further, let me be clear. This video focuses primarily on gaming and esports like MOBAs, FPSs, RTSs,
Right.
and fighting games. Basically anywhere you're getting your butt kicked by an Asian while they call you Chobo or Tainyo. That's because competitive gaming is the only place we can really compare performance across regions. Other types of gaming are harder to measure. There's no official scoreboards, no databases for stats, and everyone has a different opinion on what winning looks like.
I'm a winner.
When someone's playing Animal Crossing or
JJK.
Candy Crush, there's no universal scoreboard showing who's better. Even for games
Wait,
like
is there
Elden
not?
Ring with the PvP function, it doesn't necessarily translate into an esport.
I swear that
But in esports,
Candy Crush
we
should have
sizable prize
what's it
pools, we have tournament results,
Mm.
ranking systems, and performance data, stuff
Right.
that's measurable. This is why competitive gaming data gives us such a clear picture of regional patterns. In StarCraft, the trophy was essentially a permanent resident of Seoul
Ooh.
for 2 decades. League of Legends show a very similar pattern.
Yeah, SKT, Samsung White, SKT, Samsung White, Samsung Galaxy, sorry. Damwon Gaming. DRX, T1. There's a lot of SKT here, that's for sure. Invictus Gaming, Fun Plus Phoenix. I actually like the Fun Plus Phoenix skins. Edward Gaming, yeah.
At the very top. Korean teams claimed
Damn
8
one.
world championship titles, while Chinese teams won 3, revealing an
pretty
internal
good.
rivalry. That
Wait,
has
I also want to... Wait, can I go back for this for a second? Oh, they do have it. Okay. I was going to say, because I feel like he kept leaving out Fnatic into this, right? Because he kept saying that, like, only the Asian teams have won a game, but Fnatic is a European team that won it. So there's one European team that won a League of Legends championship, and that's it. That was the last time the West has won a League of Legends championship. Shout out to Fnatic for being the only one, and it was in the first one, and they've never won again. Shout out to then there's the Taipei Assassins, and then after that it's just been all Korea, and then China, and then Korea again.
show a very similar pattern at the very top.
Weibo, DMG,
Korean teams
Suning.
claimed 8 world championship titles, while
Yeah.
Chinese teams won 3,
Uh-huh.
revealing an internal rivalry that has defined
South
the
Korea
game's
versus
history.
China.
This has been a 2-decade pattern of consistent excellence across several game titles and genres like StarCraft, League of Legends, and Arena of Valor. You
Yeah.
understand how Korea...
I think in I almost said in Dam 1. I think in the international, right? For oh my god, I don't remember what the other MOBA was called. Why can't I remember what that MOBA is called? But yeah, I think the other MOBA is a little bit more diverse, right? Or is it Russian players who do well in it? Oh my god, why can't I think of that game right now? Oh, what? I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, that game, the other MOBA, that game, I think it's a little bit more Western or Russian players. I forget. Mobile Legends, Bang Bang. No. It's I can't remember what it's called. It's gone out of my head. I won't remember it unless I look it up. But yeah.
We need to look at how they became the first region to crack the code on systematic gaming dominance. The 1997 IMF crisis devastated
Dota
South
2. I
Korea's
think Dota 2 is
economy
more.
and sent unemployment soaring,
What's it
especially among
called?
young people. The carnage was so severe that South Korea saw a tragic spike in suicide rates,
geez.
eventually becoming one of the highest in the world. Ashley covered this in detail in another video here. Basically, when it feels like society is imploding, you look for emotional outlets.
Right.
Enter PC bungs, aka internet cafes. Affordable escape hatches that made perfect sense in the wreckage. But there was a hidden economic reason why these cafes became the ultimate equalizer.
Right.
And it had nothing to do with the games themselves. A top-tier gaming PC and high-speed internet would cost thousands of dollars that families simply couldn't afford after the collapse. But for just a few dollars, you could spend entire days in PC bungs with high-end gear, air conditioning, and a community of gamers surviving on cheap ramen while escaping the ugly economic reality. Most importantly, PC bungs created a space
hell was
where
that?
your economic status did not matter, only your gaming skills. In other countries, you needed a lot of money to buy a console or a PC. But in Korea, anyone could play on a pro-level computer for just a few dollars.
And that's why what I've heard is that in Korea, when you play League of Legends, if it feels like it's not going to do or go well, they just FF, like immediately. Like they FF so fast in Korea. Not because they don't think there's a way to do it, but not that they don't think there's a way to win, but there's just a lot. It's a lot more worth it for them to just FF right now and get into another game and get a quicker start, right? Because they have to play at PC bungs, so it's literally worth it more. It's more economic for them to FF at 15 than for them to play an entire game out and see whether or not they may or may not win.
It made gaming something that everyone could do, not just the rich. Remember, at that time, the N64 cartridge costed $60,
Damn,
which is almost
really?
$120 in today's money.
Whew.
What made PC bungs special was that Korea's internet was lightning fast,
It
putting the
still
rest
is.
of the world to shame. In gaming,
Dude,
ping
it
is
still
the
is.
delay
It's insane
between your
over there.
click and the action. And at the elite level, even 50 milliseconds is the difference between victory and defeat.
Yeah.
Most players think they're
That's why a lot of people go over to Korea to boot camp, because on stage you have 0 ping, and I think in Korea you have like something like 7 or 5 ping. So that's why people go and like do. I know a lot about chat. I used to play a lot of League of Legends. I know a lot about all this stuff.
losing because of
It's
bad
kinda
luck or
bad.
slow thumbs, but the truth is much more permanent. It's
Yeah.
about how your nervous system was actually wired before you even started the match.
Yeah.
Let's test your own reaction time right now. The first target that you saw, that's a 100 millisecond window, what most casual players work with. The second one that barely flashed, that's 10 milliseconds. That's what a Korean pro expects every single time they click. When Korean players developed their muscle memory on 10 millisecond ping, they trained their reflexes to expect instant responses. Players in
Right.
other regions practicing on 60 to 100 millisecond connections
I played on like
develop fundamentally
40 for
different
League.
neural pathways. It's like learning piano on a perfectly tuned instrument versus one with sticky keys. Practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent. And that wiring became a lasting advantage. If you're wondering why your own rank has plateaued despite all your practice, the answer might be hidden in how your nervous system was actually wired. Stick with me, because at the end, I'm going to show you how to fix your soil, even if you don't live in Seoul. Now, the Korean government took notice of what PC Bongs had created. They saw that millions of people gathering to play games competitively was a real potential that could be developed. The government set up the Korean Esports Association in 2000 and gave official support to competitive gaming.
That's pretty
This government
cool.
support made gaming a legitimate career path.
All it needs, chat, all these like infrastructures and stuff like that, right? With esports and stuff like that, all they need is a little push. They just need a little support from someone who actually cares, right? Like, I know they've had like some NBA teams buy up spots for stuff. I don't know if I really trust them, right? Because they're just like investors. They're just like investors throwing in money, and when it wasn't profitable anymore, they just like threw it away, right? You need someone like Charlie, right, with his Moist Esports, who's really, even though he's operating at a loss, he doesn't care because he'd rather just have these people on roster, and he loves the whole thing about esports, especially with Apex, right? And some Moist players are actually pretty decent, especially in fighting games. I've seen a few of them, right? I've seen a few of them competing at EVO or TNS or something like that, right?
Complete with official rules and recognition. Mainstream media helped with the change, with TV broadcasting StarCraft matches on dedicated gaming channels, turning professional gamers into celebrities.
There it is.
Back in 2006, I was flipping TV channels in Korea and saw StarCraft on TV with full-on commentators.
Yep.
It hit me that my Zergling Rush game could have been so much better. Suddenly, gaming wasn't just a hobby.
There it is, chat. And from there on, you cease to become a laughingstock or looking unemployed. You just become someone that people could look up to if you are propped up that way, and it seems worth it, right? Like, for Western players, it's more worth it for them to just be a content creator than to actually try to win a tournament or something, especially in League of Legends. I'm a huge hater of Western League of Legends. I know they're so dog. Like, every time I'm such a hater that when people are like, oh, maybe this year, we have such a great team for this LCS team and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, they're going to be sent home. They're going to be one of the first to be sent home. Unfortunately, I'm right every time.
It was a spectator sport with massive audiences.
Yeah.
Players like Lim Boxer Yo Hwan became household
Boxer?
names, inspiring entire
never seen
generations to
Boxer. Who
pursue
was that?
competitive gaming. As competitive gaming got serious,
Oh, for
professional
StarCraft?
teams established training houses where players lived together,
Yeah.
practiced systematically, and grew under structured coaching systems, all modeled after Korea's intense approach to education. When I was teaching grade 11, I met students with 120 APM, a speed that would be lightning fast anywhere else, who were
Holy
being
shit.
scouted but simply didn't make the cut. You might think 120 clicks a minute is fast. That's
Yeah.
2 every second. But in the Korean pro scene,
Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
pros are hitting 400 to 500 clicks a minute. It sounds less like gaming and much more like a machine gun.
It's high science, man. It's art form.
The bar was set that high because the development programs created such deep talent pools. Clear talent pipelines emerged as a result. PC Bongs identified promising players, amateur
Right.
leagues provided stepping stones, and professional teams offered careers with big money waiting at the top. The irrigation system was brutal but effective. Korea applied the Confucian grind ethic with devastating precision. Players trained 12 to 14 hours daily, analyzing
Yeah.
replays, studying opponents, and perfecting mechanical execution with the same relentless intensity Korean students brought.
Yeah, chat, I'm telling you, as someone who had played League of Legends for 6 hours a day, and mind you, I wasn't in there to win. I was trying to get clips for a TikTok that I used to have, right? I would like sometimes pop off with like every week I would have a few 100,000 view TikToks. I got like 10,000 followers. I have never been more burnt out on a game than League of Legends. And it sucks because I miss some of my favorite characters, right? I loved Riven. I loved Yasuo. I loved Akali. You can kind of tell by me naming those characters, if you play these games, you know what kind of content I was making. But eventually, dude, it just caught up with me. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I fucking hated the game and hated playing it so often, right? That's what I used to do. Like, I even streamed it as well. Like, so imagine that, but 12 hours a day, every single day. It's kind of nuts, dude. They have insane. They have like, what is it? Gaming in the morning, some VOD reviews, going over coaching and stuff, and then, some more gaming and scrims, and then after you might stream a few hours before going to bed.
Brought you the Sunung exams.
It's
This
so
system
much
created
gaming
players so dominant that the
for one
government
game, mind you. Like I could play 12-hour games, 12 hours a day if it's like multiple games, but just one game. If I don't like it that much, I'm gonna hate it.
Sports excellence at the highest level. Remember that honor?
Dude, I
mentioned
always
earlier?
liked the Summoner's
Faker's
Cup.
achievement earned him an exemption from mandatory military service,
Yeah.
a privilege usually reserved for Olympic gold medalists.
Which some people are confused because some people will be like, "Oh my god, this was in Hangzhou." Some people were like, "Why is Faker exempt from military service, but someone like BTS isn't?" Faker is a gold medalist. He got a gold medal at the Hangzhou Asian Games. It counts as a gold medal, so that's why he was exempt from military service.
That's how seriously Korea takes competitive gaming.
He's
The money
technically a
justified this
national
approach, too.
athlete.
Major StarCraft tournaments were offering up to 100,000 prize pools by the
Damn.
2000s. That's serious money when the average Korean salary was around 18,000 per year at the time.
Yeah.
How players could win more from a single tournament win than most people made annually. Korean dominance in StarCraft attracted more investment, better players, and advanced training facilities.
Oh,
Each
the
generation
T1.
of successful players became coaches
always wanted to see
and
the
mentors
T1
for the
building.
next, creating knowledge that built up over decades. The snowball
Yeah.
had become an avalanche. This success created what experts call a moat. It's like a giant barrier that can make it very hard for other countries to catch up. You can copy the training schedules, the team houses, but you can't easily replicate decades of accumulated knowledge, cultural acceptance,
Yeah.
and systematic talent development. Those PC bongs that started as community escape hatches
What I
evolved
missed?
into
Not much.
professional scouting laboratories.
Jesus
Places where
Christ.
talent scouts
This
could watch
stuff is
thousands of
these-
players and
this
identify
like AI
the next
stuff? This stuff is
generation
crazy.
of champions. Or could you? Let's turn to China.
China. On your left, Chinese esports.
Korea created the template, but
Hmm.
by the mid-2010s, China took everything we talked about for Korea and scaled it. In typical Chinese fashion, China made it bigger and better in a way that dwarfed all competitors. Here's the crucial business reality. The gaming industry will heavily prioritize China because of its massive consumer base.
Yeah.
To understand China's dominance, you have to realize that they aren't just a large market. They've created a demographic gravity well so strong
And it also helps that with China, they own these games now, right? League of Legends has been owned by Tencent for years. So, and that's why unfortunately, despite how much I hate League of Legends, it will never EOS, even though I would really want it to EOS. It might EOS in the West or something like that, right? It might get to a point where you won't find a game, but China will still play it because China and Korea, they still love League of Legends.
It actually warps how games are made in the West.
Yeah.
China boasts around 723 million gamers. That's the entire population of the United States, plus Indonesia, plus Brazil
Shout out to
combined.
Brazil.
And that's gamers, not just regular people.
Yeah.
Korea's gaming market generates around 7 billion annually, but China hits around 50 billion, making it the world's largest gaming market. China's market is like a giant magnet. It's so big that game companies all over the world have to follow China's rules just to be
Right,
allowed to sell
Epic,
their games there.
Activision.
And they even get their own version of games. For example, games like PUBG Mobile and League of Legends Wild Rift have their own Chinese versions with different content and monetization systems from the global counterpart.
I will sometimes go on Xiaohongshu and just like I would do with TikTok, right? Just sometimes I'll go on Xiaohongshu and I'll just like brain rot and stuff like that, and I'll go through like content and stuff like that, and I could see like a live, and I'll click on a live, and then I'll start scrolling the lives. Dude, the games that they have in China, I've never even heard of them. Right? Some of the stuff is weird as hell. A lot of it's just going to be Genshin Impact. But a lot of it is some crazy as, like right now, I wish I could show you my screen. What is this game, brother? I don't even know what this is. I don't know what that is. Oh, that one's just Genshin Impact. That one's just Genshin Impact again. What game is this? It's like a mobile battle royale. And they're like fighting in China. What is this? I don't know what game this is. So they have like some insane games that they stream over there, dude.
If China wanted a different version of your game, you build it, or you lose out on 700 million players.
Can't afford that.
But that raises an interesting contrast. While
Because of the
China
population?
surged
I
ahead
think
by
so.
diving headfirst into mobile, Japan, the country that literally invented the console in your living room, made a single strategic choice in the 2010s that effectively killed their chances at
Oof.
dominating esports. It's a
They
choice
actually got really late into the game for League of Legends as well. I remember when Japan got their own server. It was before they didn't even play in their own server, right? And then they ended up having a Japanese server like way later on, right? 2019, I don't remember when it was, but they came into League of Legends with their own server pretty late.
most people don't even realize was a mistake, and more on that later. China's scale creates massive business incentives. A successful esports tournament in Korea might reach 2 to 3 million viewers, while the same tournament in China can reach 100 million viewers.
Jeez.
Prize pools and sponsorship deals dwarf traditional regional leagues,
Yeah.
which means Chinese esports can support a much larger professional ecosystem than any other region. At the same time in the 2010s,
Was that
the
EDG?
Chinese government started treating esports seriously through official recognition. Not quite at
There
the
it is.
Olympic sport level, but giving competitive gaming a legit status in its national sports programs. Like Korea, it was a top-down policy
there
decision
it
that
is.
transformed gaming from entertainment into a more respected pursuit.
I'm telling you, chat. Like he says, he's the one. He's been saying this, that you need to give these people room to grow and room to flourish. You guys, people, the West wants to. I guess people in the West don't really care about esports, right? But as someone myself who loves esports, I used to love watching League of Legends. I watch the Worlds. I watch it every year. I even watched last year, despite hating it. Right? I watch SKT get like their latest game, but a lot of the Western companies, bro, they just don't care. Or a lot of the West, they just see it as like a waste of time and being unemployed.
This is fabulous.
Massive investment from tech giants
Tencent.
like Tencent,
Riot,
which
yeah.
owns Riot, built professional leagues and pro arenas. Prize pools were huge.
Dude,
KPL
you gotta
Global
see this.
Championship offered
You gotta see the stuff that they do for Worlds in China. Whenever Worlds goes to China, it's always insane.
around $9 million, while Korea's LCK sat around 400,000.
Yeah.
And then came 2014, the great talent drain. China opened its checkbook and triggered the biggest free agency frenzy
yeah.
esports had ever seen.
I remember this because there were so many. I think Marin. I think that's around the time Marin got scouted. Easy Hoon. I'm trying to think of other players. I think Bengi is a coach, so I don't think he got bought up. But China has been buying up so much Korean talent. You'll go and like look up. Oh, I'm trying to think of who from FPX is Korean. I can't remember.
Top Korean players and coaches got contracts that were often double or triple what Korean teams could offer. Star players like Deft, Mata,
Deft.
Rookie, and Pawn
Yep.
all moved to Chinese
These all
teams
Korean
during this
players.
period. Although this
remember
migration has
Deft.
slowed in recent years as Korean salaries improved, the impact during that crucial period helped accelerate Chinese dominance. China didn't just import talent. They
Yeah.
grew their own stars like Uzi, Mako, and Jackie Love. Where Korea had
dude.
Seoul as its main
Jackie
hub,
Love is
China
such
had
an
several
insane player.
megacities like
I loved
Shanghai,
watching
Beijing,
Jackie
and
Love.
Shenzhen with strong.
I love watching like Jackie Love, 369. Is it SOFM? These players are
speeds.
these
While it's not
players
under
are so
10
good.
milliseconds, it was hovering at around 12. The scale difference is staggering. Korea's player base sits in the millions. China's
Yeah.
estimates run in the tens of millions of players. If a game like League of Legends had 75 million active players, the top 1% would be 750,000 elite prospects.
Yeah.
Korea refined their elite through brutal training regimens. China simply has so many elite players that raw volume became its own advantage.
Pay attention, and you can learn a lot.
That massive player base creates the critical
The
mass to
Tencent
support
Arena?
all
Is that a
kinds of
thing?
competitive scenes.
Oh,
Unlike Korea's PC-dominated ecosystem, China created a parallel path
China's
through
gaming
mobile
industry.
esports as a business strategy.
Right.
All you needed was a smartphone and a data connection.
on
That's
your left.
huge in a country where incomes were lower than Korea's,
Yeah.
and where the smartphone boom made gaming possible everywhere. Students in smaller cities.
That's why all these games are mobile games, right? That's why games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star, any Hoyoverse game, Wuthering Waves, just not as much because it's not that great. Arknight's Enfield, like all these games are these are all mobile games. Just because the Chinese market is just mobile games, right?
Or accounts could jump straight into
that is why we have Diablo Immortal. No, Diablo Immortal was a cash grab. It's not that they didn't make a mobile game because they just wanted to have a mobile game for a different market. They made it a mobile game because they're greedy. This is different. The Chinese games are mobile games because there's just that's just their market. They just have mobile gamers, right? I even looked at right now when I was looking at that weird game that was a battle royale from a Chinese streamer. He's on an iPad. He's playing on an iPad, right? Because this is mobile gaming. This is what they do over there.
Honor of Kings tournaments without ever stepping into a gaming cafe. And at its peak, Honor of Kings had over 100 million daily active users. More players playing one game in a day than the entire population of South and North Korea combined. China leveraged mobile to reach its massive population in ways PC gaming never could, turning the platform into a core pillar of its esports dominance. But while China was perfecting this mobile strategy, another region was watching closely. A region with no PC bomb culture, no government support, no billion-dollar infrastructure. Just smartphones, data plans, and something Korea and China couldn't replicate. Pure hunger. Southeast Asia was about to crash the party. China's case raises an interesting contrast. While China surged ahead, Japan, the birthplace of modern gaming culture, followed a very different path. Despite inventing so much of the gaming world we know today, Japan somehow missed the esports boom.
That's interesting. The Japanese exemption, why infrastructure and the team play matters.
Japan is the OG of global gaming culture. If you grew up playing games, your childhood was probably built by Japanese hands.
Right.
From arcade classics to iconic consoles, Japan had early global dominance in competitive gaming, setting the stage for everything we just talked about. But here's a strange irony. While Korea and China were building the future of esports, the country that literally invented the console in your living room was missing the bus entirely.
Right.
Major players like Sony and Nintendo doubled down on family-friendly console markets instead of building esports ecosystems. That was a crucial missed opportunity. This story reveals what happens when your soil is perfectly fertilized for one type of success, but stays completely dry for another. Even foundational expertise can't sustain competitive dominance without the right conditions. The market data tells the story. Japan's $18 billion gaming industry is a global top 3 powerhouse, yet PC gaming represents less than 5% of that spend. The esports disparity is even starker. Japan's scene sits at roughly $100 to $150 million, while China operates in the multi-billion-dollar range.
I'm trying to think, because the only esports that I know coming out of Japan, I think Apex Legends had some really good Japanese team. I heard they were going crazy for Apex. And then you have people like the Japanese fighting game players, right? You have like people like I think it's the 5 deities of Japan, or the 5 deities of fighting games, right? Those guys were insane. Fighting games is just so, you don't really need a whole company behind you to be a fighting game player, right? That's why if you've seen like I think Saudi Arabian players, or I forgot from where, so somewhere in the Middle East, if you've seen these people playing fighting games, and a lot of them are insanely good, right? Middle Eastern players are really, really good at fighting games. They like jerry-rig some crazy shit just to have a fight stick, right? You don't really need this whole infrastructure to be a fighting game player, but at the same time, they're not really gonna have, like, I can't name you. I couldn't tell you an achievement of a Japanese League of Legends player. I can't. I'm sorry. The game from Pakistan who played in the Tekken tournament. Yeah, there's a lot of Pakistani players who are really, really good. Like I said, Angry Bird. He's someone from the Middle East. Angry Bird. He's an Evo champion for Street Fighter, right? But I cannot name a single good team from Japan for League of Legends. I could do it for China and I could do it for Korea, but for like the team players, I can't really think of any for like these games, right?
The reason? Government rules. The government! Japan didn't officially recognize esports until 2018 because of strict gambling laws that cap prize pools at roughly $900. Pocket change when compared to the multi-million-dollar purses in Korea and China. While Korea built infrastructure for 15 years and China invested billions,
Yeah.
Japan was legally prohibited from competing. Riot only launched the LJL, Japan's League of Legends team, in 2014. Even
There we
today,
go.
LJL,
Yeah, the
teams
LJL.
are mostly semi-pro, while Japanese teams like Detonation, Focus Me
Dude.
do compete globally at events like League of Legends
Government
Worlds.
regulations.
Their result
Dude, Chinese teams and Korean teams are literally backed by billion-dollar company. They're backed by social medias. Billy Gaming, Weibo Gaming, you know, SKT. Do you know what SK Telecom is? It's a phone company, right? Like all the DFM, their own streaming service had a team, Afrika Freaks. Afrika is their streaming platform over there in Korea.
remain modest. Besides having straight laws, Japanese
Yeah.
game companies found a faster way to make money that didn't involve esports. This is the strategic choice I mentioned earlier. Picture this. If you're a Japanese
Also, I really thought that LJL was a lot sooner. I said like 2017. Dude. It was 2014 when the LJL came out. Mind you, I think League of Legends came out in 2009.
game developer, you
Question
have
mark?
two doors in front of you. Door A, spend millions building a balanced esport that may pay off in 5 years. Door B, release a new gacha character and make 10 million by Monday morning. Now imagine if you're a CEO. Your board of directors is breathing down your neck about
Yeah.
quarterly earnings. Which door are you picking? Japan picked door B, and honestly, from a pure business perspective, it's hard to blame them.
It's
is the way.
Uma Musume or Kira-san Black probably by herself just made $36 million for Cygames. Unfortunately, they made their choice. It happens, dude.
Many
Grandpa Gotcha Game FGO has been going like 2 decades, and they still on anniversaries and some points hit top 5, sometimes top Gotcha Game, like 60 million at one point. From just these are monthly, mind you. These are monthly revenue reports. I know. I look at them, and this is just mobile. They're getting like insane cash from Gotcha games.
Japanese mobile games use these gacha systems where
Yeah.
players spend money to win game items like a digital lottery.
Mind
It wasn't-
you, like the IPs that they have, like Dragon Ball Dokkan and Dragon Ball Legends, I think these games, a lot of the mobile anime Gotcha games, I don't know if it's on IP alone or that they're just good games, but they stay like at the mid range, right? Like mid couple $1 million a month.
that Japan couldn't do esports, it's that the math didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Developers decided to focus on getting players
FGO.
to spend money
There it
on
is.
random rewards, placing
Ishtar.
fewer resources
Oh.
in growing esports. This focus on
Ishtar's
individual
hot.
spending reinforced a long-time cultural trend.
Mm.
Japan's gaming culture revolved around console and mobile platforms rather than
Yeah.
PC gaming. So while Korea and China went ham on team-based PC games, Japan's gaming ecosystem centered on single-player console games and arcade experiences.
Yeah.
Think Nintendo handhelds, arcade fighting games, and console
yeah.
JRPGs. All excellent games that are actually
Nier
my
Automata.
personal jam, but they don't teach you how to coordinate with 4 other teammates in clutch
Yeah.
situations. Japan didn't actually fail at gaming. They just made a choice on their cultural skill tree that left them world-class.
Yeah, they just went a different route, right? Like as much as I'm like ragging on them and talking about Japan and the way they ended up going, they didn't make a wrong choice. They just made a different choice. Right? They just decided to go a different route. And honestly, it's not bad. It's worked out for them. It's worked out for them, that's for sure.
at one thing, but completely helpless at another.
Yeah,
Basically, they
happens.
maxed out individual precision and frame data in fighting games.
That's
but
why there's
they
so
left the
many
team
good
macro branch
Japanese
completely empty. Japan's
fighting
players
game.
have proven
That's why there's so many good Japanese fighting game players, because it's individual. You yourself, you go up there. You're up there by yourself when you're playing, right? Even when there's no like, I'm trying to think of I guess 2XKO, but even 2XKO, you're by yourself up there. It's just you, yourself, and the other guy. That's why I really like fighting games. Is there's no one else to blame but yourself.
their excellence time and time again. Daigo Umehara became a global legend by winning
Daigo, the
multiple Evo
Daigo
titles
counter.
in Street Fighter, with
Let's
finals
go,
that drew
Justin!
hundreds of thousands of viewers online. Japanese
You
competitors
win!
also dominate rhythm games like Beatmania and DDR, as well as puzzle battles like Puyo Puyo and Tetris.
Really?
Glory. to mankind.
I love Nier Automata.
Here's the key
I should
distinction.
replay Nier
Individual
Automata.
competitive games operate in completely
Hadouken!
different worlds
What's a
than
bucket, it's a
major
poker?
team-based esports. Yes,
Ooh,
they
Gumayushi.
demand incredible skill, but they don't require massive infrastructure
SKT.
investments
Dude,
like
the
team
SKT
houses,
building is
coaching
so
staffs,
cool.
or synchronized practice schedules, and the money reflects that. EVO prize pools are usually in the tens of thousands,
Yeah.
far cry from the multi-million-dollar purses in top.
Chat. At Evo, there was a prize pool of $7 when I think at 4th place. I believe the money you won at 4th place, and I think one of the games was like $7. Mind you, it was like thousands of dollars the first one. I think the other, or 1,000 or like 100, like a few $100 the first one. Second one was like a few $100, and the third one was like literally like 4th place was like literally $7. Chat, have you ever played Street Fighter with $7 on the line? It's like that, and then like the Chipotle gift card, free entree. That's all you really get at Evo if you don't do that well.
Esports. The audiences are smaller and the
Yeah.
professional pathways less developed compared to esports tournaments that can sustain entire
Yeah, it's not like a lot of people watching it or people attending for like everyone who attends Evo, they're there to play. That's what I really like about it too, is that anyone can really pick up a stick and try to get good at a fighting game. You don't even have to. This is what surprised me the most, as someone who played a lot of League of Legends and stuff like that, where getting into a tournament means you have to be at a certain skill level. There's no skill cap for fighting games. Just show up and sign up, pay the fee, and you're in there, dude.
organizations.
You are now an Evo player.
But the landscape is shifting in ways that challenge traditional hierarchies. The biggest esports games with the biggest prizes will keep pulling in
StarCraft
the
and League.
best talent, which is why Asia still dominates titles like League of Legends and StarCraft. But when a brand new esports launches, everyone is starting from scratch, so the
Valorant.
advantages of history matter less. Think of a global esports map like a hunting ground. Korea and China camp the elephant spawns, games with massive prize pools, while leaving the rabbits for everyone else. A rabbit like Valorant, $2 million. An elephant like League, $5 million. And the blue whale of esports, Dota's
Yeah,
International, $40 million.
$40 million for
For
the
teams with
international.
elite infrastructure
That
and
is
2
insane.
decades of accumulated expertise, any game with a prize pool under $2 million isn't worth the investment.
Yeah.
And that leaves the door open for others. Riot Games poured resources into Valorant, building a strong global scene, and the results
Ooh.
show. Brazilian underdogs Loud rose to world champion status, even knocking out Korea's DRX along the way. Asian
Ooh.
challengers like Japan's Zeta Division and Singapore's Paper Rex also went deep
I don't
into
think I've ever heard of
international
Paper
tournaments.
Rex.
Apex Legends
Or
tells a
Zeta
different
Division.
story. That scene had been largely Western-led. North
Yeah.
American giants like TSM dominate, and while Japan's Crazy Raccoon has built a loyal fan base, it hasn't cracked the global top tier.
At least we know what you are now.
And remember that region I mentioned earlier? The one with no PC bongs, no government backing, and no billion-dollar infrastructure?
Right.
Southeast Asia found their own path to the party, and they brought smartphones instead of gaming rigs. In Southeast Asia, mobile esports have exploded as a
I think
democratizing
Mobile Legends
force.
is insane in,
Countries like
in
the
SEA.
Philippines and Indonesia built powerhouses in Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Yeah, Mobile
where you don't
Legends.
need
Oh,
a
Mobile Legends Bang Bang, got
$1,000
it.
PC to compete, just a
Yeah.
smartphone and data. It's a practical choice in regions where a gaming rig can cost several months' salary. Mobile isn't
Dude. PC rigs are so insanely expensive now.
just a consolation prize, it's the
Yeah.
future. Mobile Legends tournaments in Southeast Asia has drawn tens of millions of viewers, rivaling the global audiences for PC esports. China's dominance in Honor of Kings and Southeast Asia's rise in Mobile Legends have turned mobile into the fastest growing front in global esports.
Oh yeah.
Moving forward, mobile esports is definitely something to keep an eye on,
Mm.
especially as the tech gets better.
This is the future.
And for non-Asian competition, North American and European investment is finally catching up. Team Liquid
That's
and Cloud9 now run facilities that rival Asia's.
Ooh.
Celebrity investors like Drake, Michael Jordan, and David Beckham have poured money into the scene. Even the NBA launched the 2K League in 2018 with about $1 million in annual prize pools,
Hey, that's pretty good.
though Asian participation has been minimal.
I'm very surprised. I'm kinda surprised that 2K and all that stuff hasn't had a huge league, because that game gets so much money from normies, right? That's like a normie game. Everybody knows, like everyone I know who I've asked who isn't really a gamer, but I'm like, hey, do you play any games? They're like, yeah, I play one game. I'll play like 2K and stuff like that. Like 2K is like the normie game. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? No, not everyone has to be a hardcore gamer, but so things like 2K is really good for like people who want to just play like their favorite sport, right?
Slowly but surely, Asia's 2-decade lead is narrowing as the West borrows what works and invests.
Enduring competitive advantages.
Now, while the gap is closing, the advantages Korea and China built over decades are still tough to replicate. Their talent development systems remain the biggest edge. Korea has high schools and colleges that teach professional gaming as formal curriculum.
Yeah.
Players like Faker aren't just products of this system. At 27, he's still competing at the highest level in a scene where most pros burn out by 25.
Oh,
that
yeah.
longevity proves the soil doesn't just grow talent, it sustains it.
2025.
Demographics provide another lasting advantage. Seoul and Shanghai pack significantly more people per square mile than most Western hubs. When you have that many players competing in one place, the talent pool stays deep across generations. And here's what Korea and China's success really teaches us. We spend too much time worrying about our seed, our natural talents, and not enough time building our own irrigation systems.
Yeah.
We're stuck in a plateau.
I mean, we've had some really good American-born talents, right? But to be honest, I feel like if I'm to be honest, I feel like if they didn't have the limited import slot rule in League of Legends, no one would really pick an American player, which sucks because people like Blabber was a homegrown Western talent. I think he's Canadian. Or is he? I think he's American. Blabber was a great talent. Smoothie was a great talent. You know, we have people like obviously like the famous ones, right? Double Lift, Sneaky. Like all these players are really good Western talent, right? Reckless for Europe. There's a lot of homegrown talent, but they're just unfortunately exceptions and not really the rules, right?
Whether it's in League or it's in your career, maybe it's not your mechanics. Maybe it's your environment. Are you practicing on high ping when you could switch servers? Are you solo queuing when you can join a team? Are you grinding without reviewing replays? Korea and China proved that the right systems, the right support networks, and the right culture can turn decent talent into world champions. That's not just an esports lesson, that's a life lesson. So fix your soil first. So here's my question for you. What's one thing you're changing about your soil this week? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, you'll like this one.
Not a goddamn thing. My esports days are behind me. I'm a gotcha player now, brother. I ain't changing nothing, but yeah. This was dude, I loved it. I had a great time with this video because I'm someone who absolutely loves esports, right? I love watching esports. They're like my favorite things to watch, especially when Worlds comes around every year. I love it. But chat, hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know how you guys feel. Comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you gamers in the next one. Bye.